opportunity to build on that foundation, then we are still in the straight. It would now be up to us to design, fashion, and model policies, economic policies, which will enhance our current capacity to generate revenue, to shore up wherever loopholes or whatever gaps there exist currently in our economy. Now, if you look at what we have and the kind of structures that are available to us, as well as what mechanisms we have put in place, so that our revenue generation will not be slapped in the face, but would have some shocks or resistance to whether internal or external actions or shocks, if you like. This is, to many, a good opportunity, and that is why the president will not relent to drum it home, so that it will not be the case of we are in a dire state. A good opportunity.
Let me quickly
and that is
bring
why the president
Ambassador
will not
Sampiale into the conversation. So Ambassador Sampiale is a leading member of the NDC. He's been here for quite some time now. Good morning to you and welcome to GTV.
Good morning. How are you?
What would be your expectations as the president delivers his last State of the Nation address?
Well, I expect the president to apologize to the people of Ghana for the many hardships he has put us through. Today, as a pensioner, I cannot access my bonds and other things, and for me, it's a personal issue. So are other pensioners. I expect the president to apologize for the water bodies that he has supervised their destruction. I expect the president to also to apologize for the many state institutions that have been allowed to be so corrupt. I want the president to apologize, and so that his legacy will be straight. That is not to say that he has not done anything. He has done some things. But looking at the state of the economy, that today we are owing almost $800 million cities, and that's not good, a good expectation or legacy. I expect that the president will be candid enough for one not to be partisan, because he inherited a united country, and I want him to leave us a message of unity, not the Samaland, the Tobias thing. I want him to be candid and bring the country together.
So when you say he's done some good things, what has been the achievement of this president?
Well, we have had some security breaches in Boko and others, but we are still one country. So at least in terms of security, I give him about 6 over 10. You know, security has been good. But then flipping that, driving from Tema to Takoradi, the whole place is dark. This is a country that should not be dark. We should need electricity. We need our street lights. We need security in our ports and other things. You know, so he has done something, but the many wrong things, I'm not saying it. The verdict of the Ghanaian is clear that he has not done so well.
I know you have an understanding of the Ghanaian economy, so certainly you expect him to talk about the economy. We've seen some growth in the Ghanaian economy. We look forward to him if he focuses on that growth that we recorded.
The growth in the economy. Who owns the economy? The banking sector now, we dismissed our local banking sector. So the banking sector, which is doing well, are foreign banks. The mining is not in our hands. You know, the last time we tried, they wanted even to give tax exemptions to people who don't deserve it. So, and then if you say the economy is doing well, it means that we don't owe so much. But here we are, according to the last budget, we are spending 20 billion in paying interest only. Interest. When can we gather another 20 million to pay the amount? You know, so we have a big problem ahead of us. How to get our water bodies. You know, look at our education system. Only last week or this week, the WASI results came. This week they have to go to school. I mean, we are not robotic. Parents should be able to prepare for their children. You know, and I'm hoping that we won't go through all this again.
So you have been leading the professional wing of your party to champion the retention of the current speaker. Is that the reasons?
You see, we are not being political, but looking at the one-sided nature of Parliament now, we need an experienced speaker who will not do partisan politics here. We need an experienced speaker who can look at the president and say, Mr. President, you are wrong. Who can balance and then get a parliament to do what we are supposed to do.
Thank you very much. And so Parliament is being asked to rise so that proceedings will begin. So we'll hand over to the studio to continue the conversation. To deliver the state of the nation. So let's come back and continue the conversation with Ambassador Sampi Yale. So you're talking about the reason why Speaker Gbagben should be retained.
Oh, I certainly think he should be retained because he's the most experienced, and then he can balance the parliament the way it is. Otherwise, when he has age or then people will say age or but that's not what we want to do.
All right, thank you very much.
Is supposed to start, but before he starts, when Parliament starts, there's a saying of prayers. What we don't know is whether he will say the prayers now. There's been times that the speaker will say the prayers, then later on go and welcome the president. But probably he will just go announce that he's going to usher in the president. So you go to the lobby, the foyer of Parliament, and then would welcome the president and the vice president, and then they will sign the visitors book to Parliament. After which he will lead the president into the chamber of Parliament, and then the Vice President as well. Then preceding the President always is the State Steward of the President. That's what we are going to see in a short while. The Chief Justice, the lobby, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, goes to the lobby to welcome and usher in the President.
Right. So when do you think we are likely to kickstart the whole process?
Well, the process has actually started with the walking in of the Chief Justice and the Scales of Justice and the Speaker of Parliament. Parliament, in effect, has started proceedings. To kickstart proceedings formally, though, will be the saying of prayer, Speaker. So probably he will do it that in a short while, and announce to the House that he is going to welcome. So the Speaker.
All right. So let's hand over to you in the studios now.
All right, welcome back. That was Maurice. You also heard from Daryl and then Rachel. And before just wrapping up there and handing over to us in the studio was Maurice and Augustus there. So far, the Speaker has taken his seat. The Chief Justice has also taken her seat. We're expecting the Vice President and then the President, and the entire exercise will start. If you're just joining us, this is our live coverage of the State of the Nation address, which is the final State of the Nation address for the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We are live on GBC News. We're also live on Unique FM. We are live on the internet at gbcghanaonline.com. On Facebook, it's Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. My name is George Sapo, and our guest in the studio is Dr. Joshua Zato, who is a senior lecturer, Department of Political Science, University of Ghana, and a political and policy analyst. We've been talking for some time now, picking some thoughts about the entire exercise itself. Like I stated earlier, it's part of the fulfillment of the Constitution. Article 67 says, and I read, that the President shall, at the beginning of a session of Parliament and before a dissolution of Parliament, deliver to Parliament a message on the state of the nation. And that's exactly what's going to happen this time around. But this time, the interesting bit is that it's going to be the final one for the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, after which he bows out and then hands over to the next administration and the next president, which is the President-elect, John Dramani Mahama. And according to Maurice, we're expecting some of these dignitaries actually to be in the chamber. And pictures now from the Chamber of Parliament as they are taking a word of prayer to begin the entire session.
Country of the level, where all succession is founded on service and honor that given to the deserved. A country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Let the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality inspire and strengthen our people, that they leave time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming victory of Ghana and Africa. Amen. shall recite the national hymn. Apologies for my honor.
In a redefining year for Masdar, we stepped up our global ambition.
Mr. President, inspection over. May I have your permission to march off the guard? Aye, Mr. President.
This is the most powerful prayer to attract money. Don't skip this video. God wants to speak to you.
Godfather will march off in columns of threes. Move to the left in columns of threes. Left, 10. Band. Take post.
So that's in your shorts now. The chamber itself, the president is already in Parliament House, and as we speak, he's going to be ushered in by the Speaker of Parliament, and the Majority Leader Alexander Fenyo-Makin is also out there to welcome the president together with the speaker into the chamber. And if you're just joining us, this is our coverage of the State of the Nation address, and this is the final State of the Nation address for the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. This accordance with Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution that says that the President shall, at the beginning of each session of Parliament and before a dissolution of Parliament, deliver to Parliament a message on the state of the nation. And that's exactly what's really going to happen. At the beginning of Parliament, the President did that first delivery, and now the dissolution of Parliament, which is going to happen on the 6th of January in the morning, according to the press conference put together by the Parliament. In the morning, there will be that dissolution of Parliament, and then later in the evening, around 11 p.m., the entire process will start for the swearing in of members of the 9th Parliament, which will move into midnight. And then in the morning of the 7th of January, we'll have the inauguration of the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. So what we're seeing now, what's going to happen now, is the entire process that will lead us to the final inauguration day, which is on the 7th of January. And when that happens and is said and is done, whatever concerning the elections and the transition and the handing over comes to an end, and then we move a full swing into the governance aspect of the new administration, which is the NDC administration. And my guest in the studio is Dr. Joshua Zato, who is a senior lecturer, Department of Political Science, University of Ghana, and he's also a political and policy.
If you drink water first thing in the morning, you need to see this. What will age you the fastest? Cigarettes?
Analyst. So in your short now, you're seeing members from the majority side and, of course, the minority side to interacting. And look, we're briefly talking about the 8th Parliament, and that theory we had earlier that
came
not
crashing.
giving executive.
It basically came crashing because what we realized is that we thought that if we divide it evenly, people will rise above their partisan interests, people will rise in their personal political interests, and then they will carry national. But it never happened.
Yes.
So we saw that the deadlocks in Parliament, their inability. Look, it has been very simple. Presenting a budget for the transition has been a very routine, a very normal, simple thing. Yeah. But it never happened. It was supposed to happen somewhere in September, October. It never did. So that is why probably, look, I would say that maybe it fed into the way Ghanaians voted. To say that rather, because the blame shame was good enough, and that there were times when we all know that the simple, common business of government was upheld. And most of it was because of partisan interest. So that is why probably the Ghanaians decided, you know what, for this particular time, this one, we're just going to go and give it to one person. So that now we can
which then becomes again the rubber stamp we didn't want.
Thank you. So but maybe the voters have chosen that, look, we prefer this rubber stamp to the other one. Okay. Because then it's clear, it's easier for us to understand. Most of the MPP MPs lost electoral defeats probably because of this. Now, so for me, it was, now, to an extent, the accountability measures they did and how they were able to keep the government accountable were also there. They were also there, many control. And then you also then saw that there were times where the executive was. There was a time when everything just shipped to Parliament or passed, Yeah. But this time the position was weary. Some appointments were not made because they think they didn't have what it takes to get them across the line. Some things were not sent to Parliament because, and whenever you have an opposition being worried or concerned that this may not pass Parliament, that's a good thing. It means that they don't have to go back, either make it better or do so. And some of the changes. So for me, the eighth parliament had its lows and highs and lows, but I think on average, if we want to put it together, what we thought, the ideal we thought, our expectations were not met.
Okay, all right. One other interesting thing about the eighth parliament is when we saw the change in leadership, both sides. At the NDC, Honorable Haruna and then Mutaka, together with the others, actually changed. And then we had Dr. Atufosin coming in, Kwame Moja coming in, Amakufubu also coming in. For the MPP side, the veteran himself, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, had to actually make way for Alexander Penyo-Makin. We saw Frank Anodonpre also coming in and others. These changes, we're looking at these both sides. First of all, for the NDC, we saw those changes. Did they actually help them?
Well, they've won. It's a majority, so you could say that if that was the ultimate objective, it has been achieved. Because sometimes, look, what your team could play so bad, by the end of the day, they win and you're like, it has been achieved. Because at the end of the day, then gains as it was a success. But if this is the Montakas that were removed, it wasn't just because of this and because of an economic decision. Because then there were serious issues within the parties. I could look at it. That the party in and of itself, it was also about loyalties. In the NDC, whether you like it or not. It is a...
We're seeing the chief... That's a hug. Yolande Van der Poel and then Henry Korte, the Interior Minister. Joining them is Nelson Dafiamepo, and in a very beautiful conversation that they are having in there, exchanging pleasantries. So this is the Chamber of Parliament, and like I stated earlier, in your shots you're seeing the Chief of Staff, Madam Primo Sopari. You're also seeing the wife of the Vice President, Nadia Semira Baumia, and then you're seeing the First Lady, Mrs. Rebecca Kufuado. And on your shirts there is Adjoa Safo also. And then we have George Mikuduka exchanging some pleasantries there with the First Lady and then the wife of the Vice President and then the Chief of Staff too. And again, in your shots, moving at just at the other side of your eye is a conversation going on between Yolande Van der Poel, who's actually going out of Parliament and he's not coming back into the 9th Parliament. And then, interestingly, Henry Korte, too, who's the Interior Minister, is also not coming back to Parliament because he lost his seat. Yolande did not actually contest this time around, but Henry Korte did contest, and that's I also not the Central. I also did Central, and he lost that particular seat there to the NDC. Yes. We're talking about the changes in leadership.
Yes.
There.
So you saw that part of it was that at that time, we was explained, there was a very simple argument that, well, it is going to be about the economy, let's bring the economy to the forefront. So that was the argument that was sold. But there was an argument. That was a power struggle. It was almost like a code like within there. It was about loyalties. Because it was agreed that the Honorable Montaka and Honorable Jusu were not loyal enough to President Mahama. And that they also used to build their power to succeed. You had these dynamics going on. So if both the national chairman and the presidential candidate thinks that you, the minority leader then, you were being too powerful, you were not loyal to them, then it looks like a curbing their wings and freedom from flying.
Okay. Before we come to the majority side in their leadership, we're also live on Long March for doing their listening. We are live on Unique FM 95.7. That's taking care of the Greater Accra region and some parts of the southern parts of this country. On the shots now these are pictures of traditional leaders who are also present at the public gallery. So you have, that's Ilaya Fotiabu, former member, still a member of the NDC though, and a traditional leader there representing the Ponkatamanso area there. So these are traditional leaders there in your shots at the public gallery. And all these people are present to listen to the President's final State of the Nation address, which he'll be delivering anytime soon. And these are members, of course, of the diplomatic corps also present at the public gallery. Yes, so for the majority side, we also saw the veteran, Chairman Sabonsu, making way for Alexander Penyo-Makin. It was a very interesting switch because with his experience, I mean, Chairman Sabonsu, the expectation was that he was going to stay.
Yes. So now, the switch in the majority side too was political, pure political.
Okay.
Because remember, the MPP runs north-south, south-north, coast kind of arrangements. If the presidential candidate is, let's say...
Speaking of the switch, I mean, you can see Osechi Mensah-Bonsu there talking to Asenso Boachi, who is the Minister for Roads and Highways. You also have Patrick Boama, and there's also the Attorney General there behind them. Adjoa Safo seated, and these are sides of the majority side. And as we speak, the President is gradually making way into the chamber. The president is making way into the chamber now. We're also live on Facebook, which is Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, and then GTV. So we are getting you live from all angles that you can actually think of, on television, on radio, and then of course on the internet. And I would say that it's the biggest coverage we're giving coming from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. In a short time, the Speaker of Parliament, and also the Vice President there, followed by the President. It's an exchange of hug there coming from Adrasafo, and then
the NPP. So the moment you had His Excellency Dr. Bawumia from the north, you had his running mate Honorable Matthew Poku from Ashanti. It became redundant to then have another Ashanti speaker. North, South, Coast, as their ticket going forward. And that was, and also remember then, Honorable Osei was also moved to the campaign. He was playing big role. He was the chairman of the Manifesto Committee and one of the co-chairmen of the campaign itself. So it was also to free him and give him a chance so that he could play a bigger role in the campaign.
As the president, he's entered the chamber now, exchanging pleasantries. Earlier, he just spoke with the former First Lady, Nana Kufuor-Rollins, and then the former President John Ejiokum Kufuor also present there at the chamber. The president is now about to take his seat. Obviously, in that presidential seat, in your shot now is the vice president. So what we have here from my right, you have the vice president, and then there's the Speaker of Parliament who's in white. And then next to the Speaker of Parliament is the President, who will take the middle seat. And then right after the President, to my left and to your right, who is watching us, is the Chief Justice, and now the national anthem.
As winter bears down on refugees, it's not just cold, it's dangerous, especially for children. They've endured so much and they deserve a warm place to sleep. Tonight, I suspect that you and I will share some basic things in common, like a roof over our heads or a meal when we're hungry.
I want to warmly welcome His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces to the House. I invite him to perform a very important constitutional duty. Kindly allow me to acknowledge the presence of the following people. His Excellency, the President is ably supported in the performance of this duty by His Excellency, the Vice President, His Excellency Mahmoudou Bawumia, we also have the presence of Her Lordship, the Chief Justice, Justice Gertrude Tokonu, and for sure, we have the presence of the spouse of His Excellency the President, Her Excellency Rebecca Akufo-Addo. And His Excellency the Vice President is with his better half, the spouse, Her Excellency Samira Bawumia. And I have with me my wife, the Left Honorable Madam Alice Ajua Jonas. Excellency, our leadership, the Chief Justice, is accompanied by her spouse, Mr. Francis Tokunu. We also have with us the Chief of Staff, Honorable Akusia Fema Osei. Be joined by the chairperson of the Council of State, by his ably represented by our own veteran politician, lawyer, the person of Mr. Sam Okudzato, Senior Advocate of Ghana. We have with us the evergreen former president, His Excellency John Ajekum Kufuor. It's very important on your behalf. He is always present anytime we have an important function in Parliament. And we are extremely grateful to you, Your Excellency. We also have another very important partner of us. She's always also ever present anytime we have an activity here. I'm referring to Her Excellency, the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman-Rawlings. And we have with us here almost all members of the diplomatic corps that are here with us, and definitely you can see them at the important visitors public gallery. The heads of the various security services are all here with us, and we have a number of chiefs and queen mothers present in this house. We are blessed with the presence of our religious leaders who actually keep us healthy by always praying for us and making sure that the blessings and favor of the Almighty God remains with us forever and ever. With this, I'll now proceed to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, to deliver his message on the state of the nation. Your Excellency, you may do so now.
I'm going to London at April.
Do you mean I am going to London in April?
I'm going to London in April.
Yes, we use in for months. When is your flight?
My flight is on Friday the 19th.
Do you mean it's on Friday the 19th?
Yes, it's on Friday the 19th.
Remember, for days we use on. And what time does it depart?
It departs on 10 a.m.
Do you mean it departs?
Honorable members, please. This is a very important occasion, and you are in the house we refer to as August House, House of Honor and Dignity. We expect nothing apart from honorable behavior from you, and please, let's listen to His Excellency in absolute silence. I thank all of you for your compliance.
Mr. Speaker, as my constitutionally mandated period as President of our country nears its very end, I come before this august House to perform my last official public duty. I'm grateful for the opportunity to give an accounting of my time in office, spell out the highlights of the state of our nation, and place on record the Ghana I'm handing over to my successor. In accordance with protocol and convention, it is good to see that my wife, First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo, Vice President Mahamadou Bawumia, Second Lady Samira Bawumia, the Jonas Bagben, Chief Justice Gertrude Tokunu and spouse, and justices of the Supreme Court, the representative of the chairperson, Mr. Sam Okujeto, and members of the Council of State, Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, the Honorable Akosua Afrimo Oseo Parry, and officials of the Presidency, Secretary to the Cabinet, Lieutenant General Thomas Opong Pipra, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufu Dampare, and the various service chiefs are all present. The Speaker, the House is also duly honored by the welcome attendance of the former President of the Republic, John Ajikun Kufuor, former First Lady Nana Konadu Anjuman-Rawlings, and the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps. Mr. Speaker, before I commence my message on the state of the nation, I want to put on record that I am deeply saddened by the devastating fire at Kantamanto Market, which took place yesterday, and has left many traders and their livelihoods in ruins. My thoughts and prayers are with those affected, and I extend heartfelt sympathies to the hard-working trade with relevant agencies to ascertain the causes of the fire and to provide the needed support. As a nation that is united in compassion and solidarity to help those who have suffered losses, together we can extend a helping hand to our fellow Ghanaians in need during this challenging time. Mr. Speaker, it is important to state at the outset that serving the Ghanaian people as president has been the greatest honor of my life. It has been one of great challenges and even greater triumphs, one that has demanded every ounce of my energy, commitment, and love for our beloved country. My vision has always been to see a Ghana that is self-reliant, prosperous, and united, a beacon of hope, democracy, and opportunity in Africa and beyond. That vision remains undimmed, and I'm confident that the strides we have made together will propel Ghana to even greater heights. Mr. Speaker, the first responsibility of a government is the safety and security of the state and its people. I'm happy to report that our country's territorial integrity is intact and all our borders are secure. In a neighborhood of widespread instability, it is no longer an assumption that we can make, but our land will be safe and secure. Ghana, by the grace of God, remains the only country in the neighborhood that has not fallen victim to terrorist violence. It has taken a lot of concerted effort, and dare I say a lot of money, to enable us to protect our country from the ravages of the variety of terrorist groups operating and destabilizing other countries in the neighborhood. I wish to pay great homage to the security services and their ministerial leaders for the work they do every day to keep us safe. Mr. Speaker, it gives me no great pleasure to state that an important and integral part of the fabric of our society and the hallmark of our traditions, chieftaincy, continues to be a source of insecurity and destabilization. Upon coming into office, we worked hard with considerable assistance from the Committee of Eminent Chiefs, Otumfuo Asantehene, the Nairi, and the Yabonra, to bring finally a resolution to the conflict which had blighted the ancient kingdom of Gabon for many, many years. Bringing peace to Gabon remains one of the high watermarks of my time in office, and I have been so looking forward to counting it with pride as the top of the list in resolving chieftaincy disputes and conflicts. Unfortunately, the sad situation in Boko must necessarily dampen any enthusiasm about the resolution personally, that in spite of our best efforts, the Boko conflict remains unresolved. Boko is unhappily not the only area of chieftaincy conflict. And judging from the experience of other parts of the country, I will have to mark chieftaincy as a growing source of insecurity that will continue to require a lot of attention. It is clear that part of that process is the need to strengthen the capacities of the Ministry of Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs and the Peace Council, the two frontline institutions responsible for dealing with chieftaincy and other disputes. Mr. Speaker, in my inaugural speech at my swearing in my first term on 7th January 2017, and early on in that term, I made a public commitment to tackle galamsey, the phenomenon that had been ravaging our environment and destroying our lands and water bodies in the pursuit of mining our gold. I knew and was very much aware that fighting galamsey was not a universally popular position for a president to take. But I felt strongly enough about the need to protect our environment to say I was prepared to put my presidency on the line in the defense of our lands and water bodies. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, the fight against galamsey led directly to the loss by my party of several parliamentary seats in the 2020 elections.
Hear how they call, winds rise and fall.
Το Nicorette Spray ανακουφίζει από την ανάγκη για κάπνισμα σε μόλις 30 δευτερόλεπτα. Nicorette.
And to the makeup of this 8th Parliament, which affected the implementation of my policy agenda and impacted the second term of my presidency. I welcome the many loud converts to the fight against galamsey that suddenly appeared in the run-up to the 2024 elections. And I pray that more and more of us get to embrace the need for the protection of our lands and water bodies. As I have stated on numerous occasions, the fight against galamsey is not a fight against mining or the extraction of the gold the Almighty has so generously endowed us with. But we owe it to future generations of Ghanaians to extract our minerals in a manner that protects our lands and water bodies. I'm happy to be able to say that we have implemented some of the boldest and most progressive policies in the mining, forestry, and land sectors. As a result of these policies, we overtook South Africa as the leading producer of gold on the continent and have consistently increased gold production to reach an unprecedented 4 million ounces last year. Not only have we revamped dormant mines like the Obuasi and Bibiani mines, we have also worked to deliver the Cardinal Namdi mine, the first large-scale mine in northern Ghana, and the first greenfield gold mines in our country in more than a decade, with the ongoing construction of new mines in Ahafo by Newmont and Upper West by Azuma Resources. To add value to these volumes of minerals, we have constructed, through a public-private partnership, a 400-kilogram capacity gold refinery here in our country. We have also concluded discussions with the parent company of Ghana Manganese Company Limited for the construction of a $450 million United States dollars manganese refinery at Nsuta. Moreover, the establishment of the Ghana Integrated Aluminum Development Corporation and the Ghana Integrated Iron and Steel Development Corporation has laid the groundwork for the industrialization of many of our natural resources. These entities are expected to generate significant revenue, create jobs, and enhance the value addition of our natural wealth. Each of these initiatives was guided by the vision to harness Ghana's wealth for the benefit of her people, ensuring a legacy of sustainable development for future generations. We continue to work to increase the forest estate of our country. Under the Ghana Forest Plantation Strategy, some 121,000 hectares of degraded forests were cultivated between 2017 and 2023. And under the Green Ghana Project, over 52 million trees have been planted in just 4 years of its implementation. In 2023, Ghana became the second country in Africa and the third in the world to receive results-based payments from the World Bank Carbon Fund for reducing emissions. Under the Ghana Cocoa Red Plus program, we've also completed all the necessary steps under the voluntary partnership agreement with the European Union. And effective June this year, Ghana will become the first African country and the second globally to issue forest law enforcement, government, and trade licenses. If arguments still rage over what there is to show for the fight against galamsey and the effects of irresponsible mining, there can be no such arguments about the introduction of the free SHS and free TVET programs. Another policy that did not have universal approval when I sought to introduce it on coming into office. However, I believe this is one of the rare occasions on which we can use the word transformational without any danger of abusing the word. We have transformed education, and there can never be a reversal, of the fact that some 5.7 million young people have gained access to secondary education who would otherwise not have had the opportunity but for free SHS and free TVET. Indeed, my administration has also prioritized technical and vocational education and training, TVET, establishing 34 new TVET institutions and upgrading 62 existing ones to equip our youth with 21st century skills. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud that we were brave enough to have started the free SHS policy at the beginning of my first term and resisted the calls for a gradual introduction. I'm glad that we've removed from the Ghanaian mindset the belief that secondary school education is only for people from certain households and families. From 2020, when the first cohort of free senior high school candidates sat for the WACC, Ghana has consistently recorded over 50% of candidates scoring A1 to C6 in all 4 core subjects. This marks a stark improvement compared to the years prior, particularly the period when pass rates in core subjects were largely below 50%. This year's results, the 2024 results, have maintained the laudable trend from 2020. Indeed, only 51.6% of candidates achieved A1 to C6 in English in 2016, compared to a much higher 69.52% in 2024. For integrated science, the pass rate improved from 48.35% in 2016 to 58.77% in 2024. Mathematics demonstrated the most dramatic progress, rising from a mere 33.12% pass rate in 2016 to an impressive 66.86% in 2024. Social studies followed a similar trend, improving from 54.55% in 2016 to 71.53% in 2024. Moreover, the 2023 WACC results stand out as the best in the history of the examination. No amount of shouts will displace data. It will not happen.
Με έως μείον 60% για ταξίδια σε Ελλάδα και εξωτερικό. Στη Sky φροντίζουμε να είστε με αυτούς που αγαπάτε, στους προορισμούς που αγαπάτε, κάθε στιγμή του νέου χρόνου.
The data is there. As the best in the history of the examination, with record-breaking performances across all core subjects. It is obvious then that our reforms have not only expanded access, but have also enhanced the quality of education. I am glad that we have led to where they properly belong, and that they will no longer be seen as the option for those who cannot make the top grade. We have embarked on the development of 20 STEM centers and 10 model STEM senior high schools across the nation, and also constructed 186 new science laboratories nationwide. The other day, I commissioned the Accra STEM Academy, which is destined to play a key role in the future of STEM education in our country. These institutions are designed to provide hands-on learning experiences with cutting-edge facilities. From coding to robotics, our students are being prepared for the demands of the 21st century. It has not been without challenges, but the results are evident. I'm delighted with the infrastructure transformation that has taken place on our school and university campuses. This was displayed in a dramatic fashion a few weeks ago when the Ministry of Education staged the simultaneous commissioning of 80 new educational facilities across the nation. I do not suggest that we have finished what we set out to do, but we have certainly established what a kindergarten is supposed to be like. We've established what a primary school should be like. We've set standards for what constitutes a JHS. Science laboratories are now integral parts of junior and senior high schools, and computer tablets are available for all school children. Mr. Speaker, now we know and accept that a public school building can be painted in beautiful and attractive colors. Mr. Speaker, we have aimed to make the learning and teaching atmosphere a happy one for all school children and their teachers. We spend a lot of resources on education in the past 8 years, and I'm persuaded that it is money well spent, and the long-lasting benefits for our society will provide the justification for the expenditure. Mr. Speaker, it is impossible to make any meaningful accounting of my time in office without reference to the COVID pandemic. With the passage of time, it is easy to play down the extent of the catastrophe that brought our world to a thundering halt and brought wild animals to lounge on highways. Do we remember that airports around the world were closed, and some 2 years after the formal end of the pandemic, worldwide shipping and cargo freight have not returned to normal? Schools were closed around the world, and it took courage to reopen our schools. And there are parts of the world that have not yet made up for the closure of schools necessitated by the pandemic. Probably, Mr. Speaker, the most poignant aspect of those times was not the fear that gripped us all, but the fact that we were unable to hold hands or hug each other, and we could not have funerals for our dead. It is worth emphasizing the point that with the help of the Ghanaian people and the guidance of the Almighty, we managed the pandemic in our country to the admiration of the whole world. Indeed, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Ghana emerged as a leader in Africa, managing the crisis with a balanced approach that prioritized lives and livelihoods. We were among the first countries on the continent to secure vaccines and roll out a comprehensive vaccination program. The establishment of our own vaccine manufacturing facility under the supervision of the National Vaccine Institute, a body created by Act of Parliament, in our healthcare system. In the spirit of transparency and accountability, A parliamentary audit was conducted on the accounts relating to COVID-19 expenditures, reflecting my government's attachment to accountability and the effective stewardship of public resources during a time of crisis. However, the consequences of the COVID-19 upheavals on all aspects of our lives have gone way beyond what anyone could have imagined, and we're still dealing with the effects on the economy. But let me first deal briefly with the effects on the health sector. This pandemic showed up some of the alarming shortcomings of our health delivery system, and we have strived to seek remedies to ensure that we're reasonably prepared to meet the next emergencies. The most important intervention is the Agenda 111 project we have embarked upon that aims to place a hospital in every district. Out of the 101 district hospitals and 2 psychiatric hospitals on the project list, there are 99 district and 2 psychiatric hospitals where contractors are deployed and work is in progress. I'd hoped that construction will be completed on all of them, but that, alas, was not to be. I'm pleased to report that on December 5th, I had the utmost pleasure to commission 3 of the district hospitals. Progress of works on the other 98 active sites range from 5% for sites whose work commenced recently to 95% at other sites. I'm hoping that the incoming Mahama administration will ensure that the project is completed to put our health infrastructure on a sound footing. Furthermore, we launched the National Ambulance Services Revitalization Program, increasing the number of ambulances from 55 barely functioning ambulances to over 300, ensuring timely emergency response and saving countless lives.
20 χρόνια δικό σας. Scrooge.
The strides in healthcare reflect our collective commitment to build a system that prioritizes the dignity, health, and well-being of every Ghanaian. Furthermore, we've revived the National Health Insurance Scheme, which at one point before I came into office appeared to be reverting to the days of cash and carry. The number of subscribers has risen from 10.6 million in 2016 to 17.9 million at the end of 2023. With the renewal of subscriptions being facilitated by a tap on the mobile phone and the scope of the scheme being broadened to include treatment for sickle cell disease, kidney dialysis, and childhood cancers. Mr. Speaker, our economy took a bigger hit from the COVID-19 pandemic and ensuing consequences than had been anticipated. And in 2021 and 2022, we were in unaccustomed trouble. Our economy, which in my first term had been widely acknowledged to have performed creditably, marked by the longest period of single-digit inflation, 7% average GDP real growth rate, and strong external balances, was on its knees. The government's difficulties in parliament, with the slimmest of majorities, gave the impetus to the international rating agencies to trash us on their assumption that we would struggle to get financial policy measures passed through the legislature. We faced the problems we encountered with equanimity, took a deep breath, and decided to apply for an IMF-supported program, dubbed Post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, PCPEG, in the middle of 2023. The implementation of the program so far has gone well, even as it has been challenging. We have passed successfully through 3 successive reviews of program implementation by the IMF board, with the most recent review approved on 2nd December 2024, leading to the disbursement of 360 million United States dollars. The fund has therefore disbursed a cumulative 1.9.2 billion United States dollars to date. At the moment, I'm able to say with confidence that the crisis is over, that the economy has recovered strongly and faster than projected. In order for me to be able to make this assertion, I must make reference to the debt restructuring exercise. It affected many bondholders and was one of the most challenging decisions my administration had to undertake. It was not a choice made lightly, as we were acutely aware of the personal and financial hardships it would impose on individuals, families, and institutions across the country. Many citizens had invested their hard-earned savings, and we fully understood the pain and sacrifices this exercise demanded. However, it became evident that without such bold and decisive action, our economy would have faced an even greater crisis with far-reaching consequences for every Ghanaian. This restructuring was essential to address unsustainable debt levels and to create the fiscal space needed to stabilize the economy and lay the groundwork for future growth. It was critical in ensuring that Ghana could meet her financial obligations, regain the confidence of international and domestic investors, and restore our economic credibility. Through the resilience and understanding of the Ghanaian people, coupled with the strategic measures we implemented, we have been able to chart a path towards the recovery that is underway. Today, we're witnessing the positive outcomes of the painful but yet necessary exercise. The economy is rebounding strongly. Our fiscal position is more stable, and our debt sustainability has significantly improved. And these developments have provided a solid foundation for sustained growth and development, ensuring that the sacrifices made by bondholders and other stakeholders will not be in vain, but rather the basis of Ghana's economic revival. Mr. Speaker, the country is not broke, as some propagandists want us to believe. We're handing over the country with gross international reserves of almost 8 billion United States dollars. This is more than the 6.2 billion United States dollars of gross international reserves my administration inherited in 2017. Economic growth. The noise will not shut out the statistics. And I intend to put the statistics on the record of Hansard, no matter the amount of noise. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, economic growth.
Honorable members, the level of interruption is high. Please, honorable members, His Excellency the President is not out of order. Please. members, your statistics might be different from his, but that doesn't mean he's misleading the House. He is in order. Please, Your Excellency, continue.
Mr. Speaker, the statistics cannot be different. There's only one set of statistics that there is. It cannot be different. Your Excellency, truth is indivisible. Truth is indivisible. It's one and one only.
Your Excellency,
thank you very much.
As an accomplished member of Parliament, you are out of order.
Mr. Speaker, economic growth has also returned to the pre-COVID trajectory with an impressive growth rate, rising from 4.8% in the first quarter of 2024, 7% in the second quarter, and 7.2% in the third quarter. It is projected that this year's growth rate will be 6.3%, significantly higher than the 3.4% my administration inherited in 2017. The growth of the economy is further reflected in the growth of private sector credit. Private sector credit in nominal terms grew by 28.87% in October 2024, compared to the negative 7.5% growth recorded in the same comparative period of 2023. In real terms, growth in credit to the private sector improved to 5.5% compared to a contraction of 31.6% recorded in October 2023. It is further reinforced by improved external balances, with the current account balancing improving significantly to a surplus of 2.6% of GDP in the first 9 months of the year, compared to a deficit of 6.6% of GDP in 2016. In much the same way, the trade balance has improved and stands at a surplus of 3.85 billion United States dollars, compared with a deficit of 1.8 billion United States dollars in 2016. Headline inflation, which stood at 23% in November, is still very high, but this is coming down from 54% recorded in December 2022, following the effects of COVID-19 and other global economic pressures. Encouragingly, food prices have also begun to decline, bringing some relief to households and contributing to a reduction in the overall cost of living. Government has implemented significant measures to address the hardships that accompanied the economic difficulties. These include increased budgetary allocations towards the school feeding program, the capitation grant, the National Health Insurance Scheme, and the Livelihood Empowered Against Poverty program, LEAP. The stock of public and publicly guaranteed debt increased during the economic difficulties. However, the government is servicing its debts, honoring coupon payments for both domestic bonds and Euro bonds. Moreover, the debt levels are reducing, recording a significant reduction in the debt stock by 46.8 billion Ghana cedis to 761.0 billion Ghana cedis in October 2024, from 807.9 billion Ghana cedis in September 2024. The public debt to GDP ratio, therefore, reduced from 79.2% in September 2024 to 74.6% in October 2024. This is expected to reduce further to 55% of GDP in net present value terms, a level that restores Ghana's debt sustainability. It is hoped that the new government will continue with the policies being implemented. In January 2025, my government will honor coupon payments to our Eurobond holders amounting to $346 million United States dollars. We cannot that I want to give to the incoming finance minister. These achievements demonstrate our firm commitment to the policies, structural reforms, and program objectives and targets under the program. Let me at this juncture state unequivocally that the banking sector cleanup undertaken by my administration was an act of necessity, not of vendetta. It was a bold and decisive intervention to safeguard the strength and integrity of Ghana's financial system. The illegalities and irregularities perpetuated threatened the very foundation of our banking sector and jeopardized the hard-earned savings of millions of Ghanaians. Our actions ensure that not a single depositor lost their money, an unprecedented achievement in financial crisis management. Today, the results are there for all to see. A more robust, stable, and resilient banking sector capable of driving economic growth and supporting the aspirations of our people. It was a necessary decision to restore public confidence and secure the future of Ghana's financial sector. Speaker, my government recognized at the very outset that the fight against corruption required more than rhetoric. It demanded systemic, sustained, and strategic action. To this end, my government initiated a holistic program of legislative, administrative, financial, and technological reforms. Indeed, one of my most satisfactory moments as president was when we established the Office of the Special Prosecutor. For me, this was not just another government office. It was, and still is, a symbol of our determination to tackle corruption head on. I wanted Ghanaians to know that no one, no matter their rank or status, would be above the law. Its creation was initially met with considerable skepticism in some quarters. But I believe now that there's general consensus that has been an important contributor to our anti-corruption efforts. During my first term, we passed the Witness Protection Act in 2018, creating a framework to safeguard individuals who cooperate with law enforcement, especially in corruption cases. Furthermore, the Criminal Offences Amendment Act 2020 elevated corruption from a misdemeanor to a felony, with harsher penalties of 12 to 25 years of imprisonment. We also enacted key laws, such as the Fiscal Responsibility Act, the Revenue Administration Amendment Act, and the Anti-Money Laundering Act, all of which have strengthened our institutional framework to combat corruption and ensure accountability. We ensured that all allegations of corruption leveled against appointees, which generally dismissed them as unfounded. Budgetary support for accountability institutions has also witnessed SHRA's budget increased by 99%, Parliament's by 100%, the Office of the Attorney General by 162%, the Audit Service by 258%, and the police by 274%. These investments reflect my administration's commitment to empowering these institutions to discharge their mandates effectively, which means that the tools neither to exact accountability from all public office holders. Application of these tools, whilst respecting as it should due process and the rule of law, however, should pose no problem, no fears for any honest public office holder. I remember the early days of these reforms when skepticism abounded. People asked, will this really make a difference? Today, the numbers speak for themselves. The Auditor General's report for 2023 showed a reduction of 5.2 billion cedis in financial irregularities, a 32% drop from the previous year. I speak, you're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. I've just explained to you. From the previous year, I just said so. Listen, open your ears and listen to me. Mr. Speaker, my government has undertaken impressive reforms to strengthen Ghana's judiciary, enhancing both capacity and accessibility. Key achievements include addressing court infrastructure challenges with the construction of 100 courthouses, 90 of which have been completed and are operational, making it the biggest single infrastructural intervention for the judiciary in our nation's history. The establishment of the Court of Appeal complex in Kumasi, along with 20 townhouses and a guest house for justices in the northern sector, now enables appeals from 11 regions to be handled locally, reducing delays in justice delivery. Additionally, the implementation of the e-justice system has digitized case management and streamlined processes, solidifying the judiciary's role as a bulwark of Ghana's democracy and development. Moreover, the Law House, a modern facility for the Office of the Attorney General, has now been completed. Mr. Speaker,
Let's have some order and let's continue with the business. Your Excellency, you may do so now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Apologize for that. Mr. Speaker, as I was saying, infrastructure development has been a cornerstone of this administration. The construction and rehabilitation of over 12,000 kilometers of roads have improved connectivity and reduced travel times. These projects have not only facilitated trade, but also enhanced access to essential services. It is fitting, therefore, to acknowledge that this administration has constructed more roads and interchanges than any other in our nation's history. In the Greater Accra region alone, we have completed the Pokwase Interchange, Tema Motorway Interchange Phase 1, Obechebi Lamte Interchange Phase 1, the East Legon Underpass, and recently, the Flower Pot Interchange. Beyond Accra, we have also delivered the first ever interchanges in the eastern region at Sohum and in the northern region at Tamale. Each of these projects tells a story of commitment, foresight, in a Ghana that is continuously moving forward. There are 14 additional interchanges currently underway across Ghana, each at different stages of completion. In Greater Accra, we're building interchanges at Obetemi Lamte Interchange Phase 2, Nungwa, Ajingrano, Bone Barrier, Pram Pram, Dawenya, Savannah, and Tema Motorway Phase 2. In the Ashanti region, ongoing projects include the Swami Interchange Phase 1, Anumanje, Makro, Magazine New Road, Ebusuakura and Abrepo, as well as the PTC interchange in Takoradi in the Western region. These projects represent the scale of our ambition, a commitment to excellence and growth that knows no limits. Mr. Speaker, in aviation, we have expanded airports, including the construction of the Yakubu Tali International Airport in Tamale, the Prempeh I International Airport in Kumasi, the rehabilitation of the Sunyani Airport in Sunyani, and the completion of the Ho Airport in Ho. These projects position Ghana as a hub for regional air travel. Mr. Speaker, over the past 7 years, we have revitalized Ghana's railway sector, undertaking key projects to modernize and expand the network. Notable achievements include the rehabilitation of the 66-kilometer narrow-gauge Western Line from Kojokrom to Takwa, the construction of a 22-kilometer standard-gauge line between Kojokrom and Manso, and securing funding to extend the Western Line from Manso to Huni Valley, connecting to the port of Takoradi. Additionally, a 6-kilometer standard-gauge line in Kumasi is underway, and the Tema Mpakadan line has been completed. Progress of the Ghana-Burkina Faso Railway Project further underscores efforts to enhance regional trade and integration. Mr. Speaker, we have made some good strides in improving the housing sector. Over the period, we built 1,070 affordable houses and broke ground for an additional 800 in the Greater Accra region. We've also established the National Home Ownership Fund, which is delivering 534 homes in Tema Community 22. We delivered the 1,000 homes to the security services and are delivering 600 homes for public servants through the Bungalow Redevelopment Program. Mr. Speaker, the transport sector has also seen the deployment of electric buses in major cities, reducing carbon emissions and aligning with our climate change commitments. These advancements signal Ghana's commitment to building a sustainable transport infrastructure for the future. Behind every completed road and bridge is the story of lives transformed, farmers reaching markets, students accessing schools, and families connected. Mr. Speaker, My government has prioritized the modernization of Ghana's maritime infrastructure, with the Takoradi Harbor standing as a shining example of this commitment. The port has been transformed into a world-class facility, enhancing its capacity to meet the demands of modern trade and of the oil and gas industry. In November 2024, I commissioned the state-of-the-art oil and gas services terminal providers and other key players in the energy sector. Additionally, I launched a dry bulk terminal in the Atlantic Services Container Terminal, diversifying the port's capabilities and solidifying its role as a critical player in regional and international commerce. We have also begun the processes for the construction of another modern port at Kita. These efforts are positioning Ghana as a leading logistics and shipping hub in Africa, creating jobs, boosting investor confidence, and ensuring sustainable economic growth for our nation. Mr. Speaker, agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, and our investments in this sector have been transformative. Through the distribution of over 2.7 million bags of fertilizers and improved seedlings, we have increased crop yields and enhanced food security. For example, maize production increased by 110%, rice by 48%, and soybean by 150% between 2017 and 2023. The establishment of 140 agricultural mechanization centers and the rehabilitation of irrigation schemes have modernized farming practices and reduced dependence on rain-fed agriculture. The establishment of warehouse facilities under the One District, One House initiative has also helped reduce post-harvest losses by 30%. The net effect of these policies is that our agricultural GDP growth rate rose significantly from 2.7% in 2016 to an average of 5.7% in 2023. Our cocoa sector has also witnessed remarkable improvements, with productivity increasing from an average of 450 kilograms per hectare to 800 kilograms per hectare, making Ghana a leader in sustainable cocoa production. The living income differential policy, a policy agreed to by President Alassane Ouattara of Cote d'Ivoire and myself, under the aegis of the Strategic Partnership Agreement between our two countries, which is a fixed premium of 400 United States dollars per ton, added to the selling price of cocoa beans, irrespective of fluctuations in market prices, ensure that our hard-working cocoa farmers receive a fairer share of the global value chain, indeed, receiving the highest prices in the history of the cocoa industry in Ghana. We were told by the minority leader on the campaign trail and in the presence of the now president-elect that my successor will increase the price per bag of cocoa from the current 3,100 cedis to 6,000 cedis. Our farmers will be very happy when this pledge is realized. In the fisheries sector, Mr. Speaker, the construction of 12 landing sites and cold storage facilities across the coastal regions, along with the commissioning of the Jamestown Fishing Harbor and the Almina Fishing Harbor, has improved livelihoods and reduced post-harvest losses. These interventions have significantly boosted the incomes of our fisher folk and contributed to the sustainability of our marine resources. We have also enforced measures to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, protecting our marine biodiversity for future generations, improving the Doubting Thomas wrong about our commitment to transforming the fisheries industry. This week, Ghana has made significant progress in expanding electricity access, with the electricity access rate increased to 88.85%, up from the 79.3% I inherited. In renewable energy, completed projects such as a 4-megawatt floating solar PV at Bui and a 15-megawatt solar PV at Kaleo, together with a 100-megawatt solar PV under construction at Bui and a mini-grid electrification program in Ada East, have advanced efforts to reach the 10% renewable energy target by 2030. Mr. Speaker, it is worth emphasizing that I inherited a nation plagued by doomsday, but I'm very happy to say that I leave office with the lights on. This achievement did not come without its challenges. When my administration assumed office, we inherited an energy sector legacy debt of $2.5 billion United States dollars. The Energy Sector Recovery Program, developed by government and the World Bank, projected that this debt would balloon to a staggering $12.5 billion United States dollars within 5 years if no decisive actions were taken. We knew that such a scenario would cripple the sector, undermine investor confidence, and plunge the nation back into darkness. Mr. Speaker, we got to work immediately. Through tough negotiations with independent power producers, prudent financial management, and targeted interventions, we've been able to stabilize the sector while keeping the lights on. I'm pleased to report that we've kept the energy sector legacy debt to $2.5 billion, the same level we inherited, and have averted the $12.5 billion debt scenario, despite the rising costs of energy production and the global economic challenges that have unfolded during my tenure. The energy sector has been truly transformed, and I'm leaving office confident that the foundations we have laid will serve this nation well for generations to come. Mr. Speaker, one of the most notable milestones of my administration has been the creation of 6 new regions: Western North, Ahafo, Bono East, Oti, Northeast, and Savannah. This historic achievement responded to decades of passionate advocacy by local communities for a governance structure that brings development closer to the people. Today, these regions stand as evidence of our commitment to equitable development, with enhanced access to public services, infrastructure, and economic opportunities for millions of Ghanaians. Additionally, my administration championed a bold vision for local governance by advocating for the election of Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Chief Executives, MMDCEs. Though the process was unfortunately aborted, I remain hopeful that in the not-too-distant future, this vision will become a reality. Such a reform would deepen democratic accountability and empower citizens to shape their local governance directly, ensuring that Ghana's democracy continues to grow stronger and more inclusive. Mr. Speaker, the youth are the heartbeat of our nation, and we have implemented programs to empower them. From the National Youth Authority reforms to sports infrastructure development, we've ensured that young Ghanaians have the tools and opportunities to thrive. The construction of some 150 AstroTurf pitches across the country and the rehabilitation of existing stadia have boosted Ghana's standing as a hub for international sports, including hosting successfully, despite all odds, the 2023 All Africa Games. Creating an entrepreneurial climate has been a cornerstone of my administration's vision for empowering Ghana's youth. From the establishment of the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Programs, NEIP, in 2017, with a $10 million United States dollar seed fund, to the transformative Greenhouse Estate Project and Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center in 2020. We've supported 15,000 startups, trained 250,000 young entrepreneurs, and created over 100,000 jobs. Initiatives being implemented by the Ghana Enterprises Agency, GEA, like the Ghana Economic Transformation Program, the Hubs Grant and Acceleration Program, CAP-BUS, U-START, and the Ghana Cares Obantapa Program, have further strengthened this vision, benefiting some 1.6 million Ghanaians and dispersing over 2 billion cedis in loans and grants. These efforts have sparked innovation, created jobs, and laid the foundation for a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem, leaving a legacy of opportunity and growth. Mr. Speaker, in tourism, the year of return in 2019 and beyond the return initiatives attracted over 1.5 million visitors. These campaigns not only boosted our economy, but also strengthened ties with the African diaspora, positioning Ghana as a premier destination for cultural heritage and investment. The establishment of ecotourism sites and cultural heritage projects has further diversified our tourism offerings, attracting global attention. One of the significant undertakings in this sector has been the renovation of the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum. This celebrated site, dedicated to the memory of our first president, Kwame Nkrumah, has been transformed into a world-class facility that honors his legacy and attracts visitors from around the globe. The renovations include modernized exhibits, improved infrastructure, and enhanced visitor experiences, ensuring that the mausoleum remains a symbol of Ghana's rich history and a source of inspiration for generations to come. As visitors walk through the mausoleum, they are reminded of the sacrifices and vision that built the foundations of our nation. The Nationalism Park, which I recently commissioned, and which commemorates other important personalities in our independence struggle, like Nii Kwabena Boni, Usuala Tamanche, and the legendary 3X servicemen of the 1948 Christiansborg Crossroads shooting fame, Sergeant Ajete, Corporal Atipo, and Private Odate Lample, has also been added to this development, as will be the proposed Heroes Park, whose sword I cut recently, and whose will be to celebrate the legendary Big Six of UGCC fame and other great figures of our path to freedom. Mr. Speaker, our security forces have been equipped with modern tools and training to safeguard the nation. In Ezinlibo, in the Western region, the Barracks Regeneration Project, the equipping of the military and police, with the police receiving helicopters for the first time in our nation's history, the acquisition of advanced surveillance systems, and recruitment of over 10,000 police officers have enhanced our capability to combat threats and maintain peace. The successes of our anti-terrorism programs and cross-border security initiatives reflect our commitment to national and regional safety. In line with our commitment to aligning with international military norms and enhancing the authority of our top military officials, I'm pleased, as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, to announce the elevation of the Chief of the Defense Staff, TDS, to the rank of General, and the Chiefs of Staff, the Chiefs of Army Staff, Navy Staff, Air Force, and the Chief of Staff at the General Headquarters to the rank of Lieutenant General or its equivalent. These promotions, alongside our successes in anti-terrorism programs and cross-border security initiatives, position Ghana as a serious player in defense and bolster our international partnerships in peacekeeping and security. In communications, the digitization of public services, including the Ghana card, mobile money interoperability, and e-services, has transformed service delivery and improved transparency. These initiatives have positioned Ghana as a leader in digital transformation on the continent, with over 18 million Ghanaians enrolled in the National Identification System. The expansion of broadband connectivity to rural areas has bridged the digital divide, ensuring inclusive access to the opportunities of the digital economy. Every citizen's ability to engage with technology is a testament to our shared belief in progress and innovation. Mr. Speaker, we have tried to make real many of the slogans that have dominated our public discourse since independence. I'm proud to have approved visa-free travel to Ghana for all African passport holders with effect from the beginning of this year. This is a logical next step to the African Continental Free Trade Area and the workings of the largest trading bloc in the world. All these are essential elements to the realization of the AU's Agenda 2063, which envisages an integrated and connected Africa by 2063. Mr. Speaker, I'm thrilled to state that under my leadership, Ghana has made significant strides in foreign policy, cementing our place as a respected voice on the African and global stage. It was during my tenure that Accra was unanimously chosen by the authority of heads of state and government of the African Union to host the Secretariat of the AFCFTA, a crucial phase in Africa's journey towards economic integration. We also secured Accra as host city of the Climate Vulnerable Forum Secretariat, a grouping of 56 countries, reaffirming Ghana's commitment to leading the fight against climate change for vulnerable nations. As chair of ECOWAS for 2 successive terms, I had the privilege of guiding our region through challenges of political instability and economic recovery. Furthermore, Ghana secured a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for 2 years, allowing us to contribute meaningfully to global peace and security at a time of unparalleled changes. Indeed, it was Ghana that led the Security Council to adopt Security Council Resolution 2667, which provides for the United Nations to pay from assessed contributions 75% of expenses of UN peacekeeping operations in Africa, a matter that had been in controversy and unresolved for several years. Additionally, Ghana witnessed a moment of immense pride when Shirley Ayoko Butchie, a distinguished Ghanaian, was elected as Secretary General of the Commonwealth. The first time a Ghanaian and an African woman has held this esteemed position. I hope the House will join me to extend hearty congratulations to our Foreign Minister, Honorable Shirley Ayoko Butchie.
In a redefining year for Masdar, we stepped up our global ambition.
It is a prestigious position, and I'm sure she'll be a successful Secretary General and bring honor to Ghana. Another feather in the cap of Ghana's recent foreign policy has been the attainment this year of full membership of l'Organisation Internationale de la Francophonie, OIF, of which we have been an associate member for some 18 years. Our country, one of the few to be full members of both the Commonwealth of Nations and La Francophonie, has the opportunity to play a constructive role as a bridge between the Anglophone and Francophone worlds, particularly in Africa, enhancing our influence. These milestones reflect my administration's dedication to advancing Ghana's interests and strengthening our standing in the international community. Mr. Speaker, there is a subject that continues to attract a lot of public discussion, and that is the call by some for a review of the 1992 Constitution, under which we have operated in this Fourth Republic for the past 32 years. Mr. Speaker, there is no perfect constitution anywhere in the world. And with all its shortcomings, I would say that this constitution has served us well. It has provided the platform for the longest period of uninterrupted, stable, constitutional democratic governance in our history. A constitution does not cure the irritations of the democratic process. There's no constitution that will satisfy the desires of those who do not believe in the democratic process. I would suggest that in the approach to the calls for a constitutional review, we should be guided by the old saying, festine lente, the Latin adage for hasten slowly. In this spirit, I'll be forwarding the document prepared and submitted to me by the Constitution Review Consultative Committee on proposals for the review of the Constitution, along with the concerns and suggestions raised, to the President-elect for his consideration as he prepares to assume the responsibilities of leadership. Mr. Speaker, elections are the main planks of the democratic structure. We've just had the 9th set of elections since 1992. The losing presidential candidate called the winner to congratulate him and made a public concession 14 hours after the close of polls, which it is widely agreed were conducted in a competent, free, and fair manner. I doubt there are many such examples anywhere in the world. Yes, we should condemn the outbreaks of violence that followed, and the assumption some had that because a presidential candidate had conceded defeat, the winning party should feel emboldened to cause mayhem. It appeared at one stage that the outbursts of violence would overwhelm the police, who, in my view, need to re-examine rapidly their methods for containing such incidents in the future. I say so without prejudice to the excellent job they did in supervising the electoral process itself. I'm hoping that we will soon reach the stage where the unnecessary tensions that are simulated to accompany our elections will disappear, and elections will become simply something that we do, and do without a fuss and with flair. The efficient, praiseworthy manner in which the Jean Mensa-led Electoral Commission has conducted the past two elections of 2020 and 2024, despite their challenges, is a significant contribution to this end. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take the opportunity of this august podium to congratulate again my friend with whom I came into Parliament together for the first time in 1997, President-elect John Dramani Mahama. On his historic comeback victory of 7th December 2022. Assure him of my support and that of all well-meaning Ghanaians, and wish him well in his second term as President of the Republic. I take the opportunity also to congratulate Dr. Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, the Vice President-elect, the first woman to occupy that status in our history. Mr. Speaker, you and I have made history of a kind these past 4 years, and I must acknowledge the role you played in keeping steady the ship of state and the governance structures of our country. This was the first time the executive has to deal with not just a parliament with the slimmest of majorities, but with a speaker from the opposition party. Mr. Speaker, we found a way to accommodate each other, and the government functioned successfully. I thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this opportunity also to express my gratitude to the Council of State under the chairmanship of its highly respected traditional ruler, Nana Otu-Osirbo II Dramani, for the great help it has given me in helping to steer the ship of state to a successful end. Nana and the members of the Council, I thank you very much for your invaluable counsel. Mr. Speaker, as I prepare to leave office on 7 January 2025, I do so with immense gratitude for the trust and confidence the people of Ghana has placed in me over the last 8 years. It has been the highest privilege of my life to serve as president of this great nation. I've done so with an unwavering commitment, boundless energy, and a deep love for Ghana, always guided by the belief that our nation's best years lie ahead. Together we have weathered storms, celebrated victories, and laid the foundation for a brighter, more prosperous future. Reflecting on this journey, I'm filled with pride for what we have accomplished, from the transformative policies in education and healthcare, to the strides in agriculture, digitalization, energy, governance, infrastructure, industry, and trade. These achievements are not mine alone. They also belong to every Ghanaian who has contributed to the collective effort of nation building. We have demonstrated that through unity, resilience, and determination, we can overcome even the greatest challenges. I'm confident that the progress we have made will inspire future generations to dream bigger, aim higher, and achieve more for our beloved Ghana. Mr. Speaker, as I take my final bow, I do so in the certain knowledge that our nation will go from strength to strength, and that freedom and justice has taken hold forever in our body politic. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to hand over a Ghana that is safe, secure, united, and firmly rooted in her attachment to democratic principles and respect for the rule of law. A nation that continues to shine is a beacon of peace and stability in an often traveled Africa and an uncertain world. I leave behind a Ghana that is thriving, one that has navigated significant global challenges with remarkable tenacity, whose economy is steadily rebounding, and whose institutions are operating effectively. It's a Ghana where the youth are being empowered with opportunities to channel their energies into meaningful and productive endeavors, where the arts are beginning to flourish, and where the elderly can grow old in safety and dignity, and continue to make meaningful contributions to society. I leave behind, Mr. Speaker, a Ghana that is working. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I thank you for your attention.
members, on your behalf, I with all humility convey the gratitude of the Parliament of Ghana to His Excellency the President for the message. The House has heard him. Honorable members, that was just a paraphrase. It wasn't a quote. I thank His Excellency the President for setting the tone for, I believe, a very, very important national discourse as the state of the nation. And we do this with the core principle of unity in diversity. Democracy is about disagreeing to agree. And we are grateful that Ghanaians and all of you have committed yourself to this concept of multi-party democracy. I will, on your behalf, invite the leaders of the House to have a say. I have enjoyed this opportunity for many years, and I won't be the one to deny my colleagues the same opportunity. So we will start by listening to the minority front bench.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to thank His Excellency the President for the message on the state of the nation that he has just delivered. Mr. Speaker, I need to remind you that the people of Ghana have already given their verdict on the true state of the nation. And that verdict was very, very clear. Economic hardship, huge debt overhang, high youth unemployment, hopelessness, and more.
And you are thanking him for this.
We have come to the end of the road for what has been undoubtedly the West government under the Fourth Republic. Honourable Speaker, this abysmal record was confirmed on December 7th when the people of Ghana returned the most overwhelming and emphatic vote of rejection of any government ever witnessed under the Fourth Republic. Mr. President, you will be remembered as the first president who was cushioned by the IMF when you began, and you are still being cushioned at the end of your term. Mr. President, you left something very important in your account. You left out an account of your promise to God to build him a cathedral. But Mr. President, Mr. President, I will leave that for you, between you and your God. Mr. President, let me remind His Excellency, Honourable Speaker, that his tenure in office will remain a timely reminder of how not to govern the country. But let me also be quick to assure the good people of Ghana that hope is on its way. In President John Dramani Mahama and the NDC,
If you drink water first thing in the morning, you need to see this. What will age you the fastest? Cigarettes, sugar?
You can once again glean a brighter future from the throes of despair. Together we will work hard to lift ourselves from this historic low and reclaim our place, our glory as the Black Star of Africa. Once again. Fellow Ghanaians, we are comforted and strengthened by the following words of scripture. And I'm quoting Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. And I quote, "And Moses said unto the people, Fear you not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them no more." Bye-bye, Mr. President. It is finished. With that, Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much.
Honorable members, honorable members, I've taken note of all those who were on their feet and what they said. But it's now time for me to invite the majority leader, the leader of the House, to have a say.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to say a few words in response to the statement on the state of the nation delivered by His Excellency the President. Mr. Speaker, this is the man who 1997 entered the Chamber of Parliament during the second Parliament of this Republic. He inspired the youth of this country through his advocacy. Hansa testifies of his great work in the chamber of this House. Then, as students, we sat at the gallery to observe and to take inspiration from him. Mr. Speaker, through resilience, through firmness of conviction, he tried over and over again and made it to the presidency. Mr. Speaker, today he has fulfilled a constitutional obligation to boldly deliver for Hansa his records in office for the 8 years. Mr. Speaker, it may be that for some political expedience, we may not appreciate what he has done for this country. But, Mr. Speaker, history, in its fair judgment, will state that there came an Akufo-Addo whose record in the educational sector of our country was unmatched and unequaled. Mr. Speaker, this is a man who is never afraid of challenges that confront him.
Honorable members, please, silence. Let's listen to the majority leader. Please.
Mr. Speaker, he has given us data, which data tells us the record he came to meet and the record he's leaving us with. Mr. Speaker, the Agenda 111, a very ambitious policy to revive our health sector and to provide for the needs, the health needs of the many vulnerable communities, Mr. Speaker, which is also unmatched, is there for all of us to see. Mr. Speaker, above all, this president and his government have demonstrated that they have what it takes to keep our country safe all around us. And by virtue of my being a member of the ECOWAS Parliament, I am able to say on authority the challenges our West African neighbors face in terms of security. This country is safe and secure, and it is a haven for many West Africans who would want to invest in our country. This is a country we must be proud of. Mr. President, your country is proud of you. Democracy has experienced its best under your leadership.
Bingo.
Let's get. Today, we are being told that there's a new hope. That's no problem. It is supposed to be so. But soon, we will see the true colors of the umbrella. So, Mr. Speaker, I would want to say to my colleagues that you are yet to take over. We would be watching you for the next 4 years. And if indeed you have transformed, we will see with our naked eyes. This is a government that came into office and faced major challenge which confronted the world all over, but demonstrated resilience. This is a government that ensured that in spite of the COVID, all government sector workers were paid. This is a government that kept the lights on. This is a government that ensured that over 5.7 million Ghanaians had access to education. And Mr. Speaker, I would want to relate to this issue of free SHS. It took the grace of God for me to complete secondary education because my mom could not afford, my stepdad could not afford. It took the grace of God. And I know there were many Ghanaians who could not afford free SHS and because could not afford secondary education and had to stay at home. We know in our communities today, all those who could not get free SHS benefited from it when Akufo-Addo assumed office. Mr. Speaker, TVET was also implemented for those who are placed at the lowest ebb of fortune's wheel to also get advantage of getting technical education. This is it. this is the record that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is leaving us with. Mr. Speaker, posterity will be the utmost judge. And I repeat, soon and very soon, the Ghanaian people will see the true colors of this umbrella. I rest my case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, please, let's be guided by the lessons of the wise saying that if we want to go further, we'll go together. I'm sure, as honorable representatives of your people, you understand the full import of this wise saying. With this, honorable members, once again, let me thank all of you for creating a conducive environment and for assisting me to host His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana and the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We will now proceed to do what is expected of us, and that is to adjourn the sitting for today. Honorable members, the House stands adjourned till tomorrow. You don't want to come to work? Oh. Actually, we don't have time. And so I wanted you to come for us to do something tomorrow. But if you say you are available only on Monday, you prefer tomorrow. Monday. Honorable members, I get the sense of the House and will accordingly adjourn to Monday at 10 in the forenoon. The House is accordingly adjourned.
Είστε έτοιμοι να βάλετε επανάσταση στον τρόπο που πλένετε το αυτοκίνητό σας? Είτε αποφασίσετε να αγοράσετε είτε όχι, θα σας παρέχουμε την
Certainly, tomorrow we're going to be hearing headlines indicating that the president said that Ghana is not broke, as some will want to put it. He's been talking extensively about the free senior high school. He says that some 5.7 million students have benefited from the free senior high school policy that he introduced in the early stages of his government. He's been talking about an improvement in the WASI results comparatively to what he inherited in 2016 when he became president. He's also been talking about Dumso, the fact that he is leaving office with the lights on. He spoke about the fact that the incoming government is also recording, and despite that, he's managed to keep the lights on. So the president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, will be exiting Parliament anytime soon. We see him having some hearty conversations with members of Parliament. Don't forget that he's been a member of this House before. He joined the second Parliament representing the people of Ibuakwa South. I mean, he knows the ins and outs of this particular place. He's had a lot of them, his friends. So the president will be having some conversations. There he is talking to Mr. Amabua, who was a former minister for petroleum under the Eswa Mahama administration there. So pictures from the floor of Parliament, Dr. Baumia, they're also exchanging pleasantries with Honorable Rashid Pelpo there. As I said, anytime soon, the president will be exiting Parliament. So His Excellency started his address by commensurating with the victims of the Kantamanto fire outbreak. He says that the situation will be assessed and some level of assistance will be given them. He's been talking about the peace he brought to Dagbon, that long-standing conflict that plagued the people of Dagbon. He says that together with the Santino Tumfo Osage, they managed to bring some peace to Dagbon. But quickly, before we leave Parliament, let me bring Augustus Akwe. He's our parliamentary correspondent. Exactly what points was he able to pick from the president's speech? Good afternoon once again, Augustus. What will you say were the highlights of the president's statement too?
Well, I feel the president's speech was more consolidatory. It was more of a rendering of account. A few instances when it came to the amount that is left in the vault in foreign exchange that is left in the vault. That's when you saw him compared to what he had inherited. But in all, I feel the speech was more consolidatory. The speech was more of a rendering of accounts for him. Unfortunately, because of time, Parliament can't do a debate on the presentation of the State of the Nation address. That's we witnessed in previous State of the Nation addresses. I feel the fact that he said was able to keep the lights on despite all the challenges, and the fact that when it came to the domestic debt exchange program and all that, jobs weren't lost and all that's also a good thing.
Right. Of course, he's been talking about the Ghanaian economy, and he says that Ghana is not broke. He's been referring to our foreign reserves, $8 billion. He's also been talking about the growth we've seen in the first 3 quarters of the year. Even though inflation is still at 23%, which he acknowledges, it says that the figure has trended down from 54% somewhere in 2022. Now we're doing 23%, even though it's way off the target of government of 15%. I mean, he's acknowledged that. He's also been talking about the fact that we have the money to pay coupon for our international creditors. But quickly, let me talk to Mr. Emmanuel Akwete, who is also been monitoring the whole process here in Parliament before he leaves us. Good afternoon to you, sir. What will you say are your impressions about the President's statement?
As winter bears down on refugees, it's not just cold, it's dangerous, especially for children. They've endured...
Well, it's a farewell statement, well balanced and well received by the House.
Right. So what were the key highlights for you?
I think for me the key highlight, that's why I said it's well balanced. He told where progress had been made that could be built on by the incoming government. He also admitted the challenges. And I think that in putting this together in a way that wasn't so partisan, really exhibited his role as father of the nation, commander-in-chief, and he's exiting. And I think the way he handled it and looking at the response shows that, yes, he's observed, you know, the important role that he played for the nation and not just his party. I didn't see too much of the partisan thing, praise and condemnation of opposition. And I think it's a good way of saying goodbye to Ghana for the leadership given to him. And I think it was well applauded by all.
Before I let you go, he said emphatically that Ghana is not broke. I mean, you are a statesman and you know the state of play. Will you agree with him?
Well, I think in November last year when Ghana appeared broke, he made that statement and how he struggled to resolve the issues. If at the end of the day, the situation has been turned around and you compare it to the previous year, then I think that they've worked hard. It's good to know that Ghana is not broke because it says the economy has recovered and is recovering strongly. And in that case, I think that he should leave office so that the new government can take it to the next level. So it's a good message to the nation. I do not think that he had statistics to back what he was saying. And I believe that it's not the end of the story, but the foundation on which the new government that the people have chosen will build.
Right. You also talk about how the fight against Galamsey affected the parliamentary fortunes of his party in the 2020 elections. That should be a little bit partisan.
Well, I think he's open up to that, and probably that also contributed immensely to the heavy loss in the elections. But he's leaving and he's admitted to certain things, but he's also said, look, we've recovered. It doesn't mean we do not have any more problems, but it's a foundation, it's a foundational statement, that which the next president and his party should build on in the interest of every Ghanaian. And I think it's a commendable speech.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how will you rate the president?
I don't rate. My challenge of rating is that he's leaving office. He has rated himself from the statement, what they've done well, what they didn't do well. The challenge is now for the new government to take it forward.
Right. Thank you very much. Mr. Emmanuel Akwete is with IDEC there. So we're still here in Parliament. The President, not too long ago, delivered the State of the Nation address. We've been getting reactions from the many people who sat through and listened to the President. The President has been saying that food prices have started to decline, giving facts and figures. So at this point, we would hand over to you in the studio whilst we begin to also get some other interactions and reactions from the parliamentarians. Over to you.
right, thank you very much. That was Maurice Oguthi, and that was the President's final State of the Nation address delivered to Parliament and in Parliament some minutes ago, touching on various sectors and the progress that he has made under his administration for the past 8 years. And one key thing that he said was that Ghana is not broke, talking about the reserve that he left behind, and also the growth rate to 7.2% and the projection of about 6.3% for the end of this particular year. And we're back here in the studio. We're going to talk briefly about that, and we'll take you back to Parliament House and get other reaction and thoughts from the members of Parliament and other officials who were present at the State of the Nation address, which is the final one for the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And like stated earlier, the whole transition period is what is rolling out now. Parliament, the 8th Parliament will come to an end on the 6th of this particular month, the 6th of January. And then in the evening, the new Parliament, around 11 p.m., the new Parliament will be sworn in. That's the 9th Parliament. And then a new Speaker will be elected. As to whether the Speaker will be maintained or not, we're yet to see and know exactly what's going to happen that evening. And then on the 7th, the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, will be sworn in as the next president of this beautiful country of ours, Mother Ghana. Our guest is still here with us, Dr. Joshua Zato, who's a senior lecturer, Department of Political Science, University of Ghana, and he's also a political and policy analyst. Doc, thanks for your patience. I'm so grateful for it.
Thank you.
Your general thoughts about the whole presentation?
Oh, thank you. As I said, this is beautiful. Any Ghanaian anywhere watching this can be proud of your country, can be proud of these traditions, can be proud of these rituals, can be proud that, look, we have a look at the house. It's a normal, regular partisan house, but people were very respectful, well controlled. And they did, because they have been doing this. It's not new to them. And even sometimes we realize they are also deepening their traditions. Now, we saw a president who can throw a jab and who can take one. And we've seen his vintage Akufo-Addo. He was throwing jabs there, and he took one. I mean, the man even...
He understands the whole political...
He understands it. And sometimes he even enjoys this back and forth, because sometimes you can see easily... I won't say teasing, or he's calling for it, he's asking for it. He says some things that he takes over there. He said the country is not broke.
It's not broke, yeah.
He wants to put that on the record, on the Hansard, let the Ghanaians that... He also said, look, I came in darkness, but I'm leaving the office with the lights on. He said, seriously? He said, look, basically he said, look, I came in the doomsday era, but I'm living there no matter how you see. And he's trying to provide some, for want of a better word, protections for the MPP going down. He's going to say, look, I made 2.5 billion or so energy debt, and I've left the energy debt. So he's somewhere saying, he said, I didn't pile on the debt. So there can be no excuse that the government put on so much, that's why there is doom so. He's basically saying that. And it's in terms of reserve, he says, look, I made growth rate, I made this abysmal, I'm giving you 6 points. So he's trying to say that, look, don't let, and this is the partisan thing. He's trying to signal to his party, don't let anybody deceive you otherwise that we didn't deliver. Don't let that be the case. And he made a point. He says, look, the stats can't be different. And that was a sharp rebuke to what both the speaker and the NDC is saying. Because if you are saying that you have your statistics, I have my statistics, that is not true. That's not how statistics work. Statistics don't work like that.
It should be one.
It should be one. And he said that the statistics can be there. And it's true that if it is if you left me $6 billion in reserves and I'm leaving $8 billion, you cannot say you have your own reserves.
But you know the interesting thing about this whole economic conversation, during the transition process, when both sides, the president and the president-elect, had to put together a team, and the team was actually inaugurated, you realize that the president talked about a growth rate of 7.2%, which he touched on again. But then when the president-elect also had his turn to speak, he said that, well, he can't confidently talk about that growth rate, but he can only talk much about it when they get into office and get to know exactly what's happening. So he wouldn't speak much about that, so he wouldn't hold on to that. Now, there are two narratives here. What the current president is saying and what could be said if the president-elect actually
something you must understand. Something has happened within the last 4 years. Everybody has come to trust the Ghana Statistical Service with their data, their statistics. If you watch carefully, that is why most of the NDC criticisms of the MPP has come from the Ghana Statistical Service itself. That is one office that we have not debased with our partisanship. So nobody has questioned the data that is coming from that office so far. And they will tell us, part of the reason could be that they report within certain stipulated periods, and their reportage will come. But some of the data, and you see, in these days it becomes difficult because of our economic laws and what we've passed to hide the data. Okay. Because if you don't get it from Bank of Ghana, you can get it from IMF. If you don't get it from IMF, you can get it from World Bank.
Let's quickly go back to Parliament. We'll join Maurice with some other interviews. We'll be right back.
Ανυπομονούσα κάθε καλοκαίρι να τελειώσω το σχολείο για να έρθω στα Βερίκουκα, γιατί το αγαπούσα.
The energy sector, the fact that he inherited a $2.5 billion legacy debt when he took over. Your government is also talking about a $2.5 billion legacy debt. Exactly what happened?
So basically, if you look at the 2.5 billion that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is talking about, is the one that has been made available to us by the private sector. We've not actually audited what the total indebtedness is. And basically, these calculations are just purely based on what the IPPs have told us and what the suppliers of gas have told us, because these are private sector people. But we do not actually know how much debt has been accrued, maybe from BOST as a result of the goal for oil, maybe from Ghana Gas and other places. We don't know the total indebtedness. So this is one aspect. Two, yes, it is true that we had a $2.4 billion legacy debt that was accrued over a period of, say, from independence up to the time when John Mahama left. In 2015, we introduced what we call the Energy Sector Levy Act that was supposed to give us 5 years window to have some accruals from that particular levy and to use that to retire the total 2.4 billion and at the same time ensure that all the energy sector agencies do not accrue additional debt. As we speak today, after floating bonds, that's the ESLA bonds, for 6 and 10-year period, we still now have a state of what do you call our level of indebtedness is worse off than we introduced the levy. Meanwhile, in terms of this, the tenure of that particular law has been extended for about 10 years now. So what the president was talking about, or the outgoing president was talking about, was not representative of what were the facts. And almost every facet of even the energy sector, he was lying. Go back and check the 2017 state, first budget that was presented by his minister, his finance minister, who happens to be his cousin. In terms of access to electricity, it was 83 point something. Today, he conveniently, because he knew that within 8 years they have not added much in terms of access to electricity, because by now, as per the program of Ghana, we should have declared universality about 3 years ago. Because they've not been able to do that, you know what he did? He changed that particular figure, which his own finance minister gave as 83 point something, to 79. Just to make it convenient to show that he moved from 79 up to 88%. So I'm just trying to tell you that basically this is a man who is simply not doing well. And the last one, look, we had our highest as a result of the discovery of ENI, N10 under John Mahama, and then the production of oil. We had our highest production in 2019 because then we started producing. As we speak now, my brother, our oil production has been reduced by 34%. All the various major IOCs, that's international oil companies, are relocating Cote d'Ivoire. Since he came, we have not added one drop of oil into our total oil assets. Right, so it tells you clearly that the energy sector has been a mess.
So you're saying that the 2.5 billion His Excellency Mahama has been talking about is a private likely to be higher than...
In fact, it is going to be higher, because we are looking at the fact that if we just take only the IPPs, they have indicated that it's a moving scale. It's between 1.5 and 1.7 billion. We also do know that the OCTP partners, that is led by ENI, they also owe, the government owes them roughly around $300 million. I get the point I'm trying to make. And you look at, the Jubilee partners, they are also being owed by virtue of the fact that the gas that is being produced is not being paid. So those figures, they are volunteering those figures to us because they are private sector. But for the government sector, because of the fact that they have all been cowed down and nobody speaks,
we do not know the true length of the frog. Luckily enough, on the 7th of January, the true length of the frog we will know, because by that time it would have died. And we'll know the total in the dead. So this is just as a result of our encounter with the private sector.
So, finally, before I let you go, what will be your description of the energy sector that the MPP government will be handing over to you? We hear that TAPCO may go off anytime soon. So there's a likely of some level of energy disturbances. Is that a situation?
So that is true. You mean WAPCO? So WAPCO has actually written to this government, indicating to them that on the 20th of January, they are going to shut down their plant, their pipeline for maintenance, and it is going to last for 28 days. What it simply means, when the pipeline operator writes this letter to you, what it simply means is that you must make alternative arrangements. You must buy liquid fuels like light crude oil or diesel to power, because some of our generating plants can run both gas and then crude. If this government has not made arrangements for that, what it simply means is that by the 20th of January, we will have power curtailment as a result of shortage of gas.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Bawa. Where should I be expecting you? The Ministry of Energy?
Expect me to be in Ghana.
Thank you very much. So that was Mr. Edward Bawa, outgoing MP for the Bongo constituency. He is also a member of the Energy and Mines Committee of Parliament. We're still here in Parliament. Let's begin to engage some other key persons who have been also monitoring the whole process and also listening in on the State of the Nation address here in Parliament. The President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has been talking about the state of the Ghanaian economy that he inherited in 2017, the one that he managed from 2017 up until 2020 when COVID broke, an economy that grew averagely 7% pre-COVID. The fact that he's been able to implement the free senior high school policy, which has benefited many more Ghanaians and ensure that they are in school. But let's quickly speak to Mr. Ejapa Mesa, a former Deputy Minister for Energy. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to GT.
Thank you very much.
Right. So the President has been talking about the energy sector, the fact that he inherited a $2.5 billion legacy debt. Meanwhile, the incoming government is also talking about a $2.5 billion energy sector debt already. Exactly what's mixing?
Well, if what the incoming government is saying is factual, then what it means is that what he left supposedly for His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is exactly what he has left for him. Okay, but I'm not so sure about the data that they're churning out, except that in the coming days we will get to know the details so that we all can determine whether indeed what the current incoming administration is saying is factual or otherwise. But clearly, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, his performance, his track record in the energy sector, where I used to be Deputy Minister until February or March, okay, this year is clear. He inherited a system where the lights were not on. We had slept consistently in darkness for 4 years. The solution of the government, even though there was no generational deficit, the problem that we had encountered over the period of Mr. Mahama's era was largely financial. Okay, some damage to pipelines in Nigeria prevented him from getting gas.
Will you say it was entirely financial? Because water levels in Akosombo were down, which affected the Pong dam as well, which feeds off the Akosombo excess water.
So we had alternative plans. And if you look at the data that is available, okay, yes, there was some overdrafting of Akosombo, but that did not impact our generation because we had thermal plants available. We had always had excess capacity, okay, because if you look at our generation capacity and our consumption, look at the graph, you see clearly that consistently from 2012 or even before 2012 through to 2016, we had some element of excess capacity within our mix, the generation mix. Save that because demand was growing, there was a need to follow the IPSMP, which is the system generational increment plan that we had, okay, to ensure that consistently over the period going forward, we had sufficient enough generation capacity. So the period between 2012 and 2016, when we had the difficulty, you can attribute maybe the first year partly to the drafting or overdrafting of Akosombo. 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, no such thing occurred. But we had the deficit in generation. Why? And Mr. Mahama told us that there was a fracture to the pipeline from Nigeria that brought gas. Remember? And that clearly is a fuel problem, for which there were alternatives that if he had the resource, he could buy. But they didn't have the resource. And so they couldn't buy alternative fuel to power the plants. His solution was to add additional capacity, which then increased our problem in terms of the financial bit. And so if you
your government has also added additional capacity.
Where is additional capacity? You have consistently heard them say that even renewing AXA was wrong. But if you look at the demand curve, it was necessary for us to renew AXA so they don't take the plants away and get it back into country in 2027, 2028. Okay? In any event, you had negotiated the better terms. You had cut down significantly the take-or-pay component, such that you had given them not a take-or-pay, but a guaranteed minimum that you were going to buy at every point in time. Okay? And within the plan, that was something that was worthwhile. Okay? And then looking forward, obviously because the demand is increasing, the excess capacity component has been reducing on a year-by-year basis. But by and large, apart from the incidents that we experienced sometime this year, which was attributable to shortage of gas in some instances and maintenance of the existing plants, the Akufo-Addo government has largely managed our energy sector well. And
so let's begin to wrap up on energy. You're also a minister for tourism.
Yes.
But what kind of energy sector are you handing over to the incoming government? Already, we hear NAPCO is going to go off. WAPCO is going to go off anytime soon.
Why is WAPCO going to go off?
I mean, they've served notice.
They said no, that we haven't seen the notice. But if they go off, it's because there is some payment liability that hasn't gone. Of course, we have issues with distribution and ECD's ability to generate sufficient enough revenue to pay all the value chain actors. And so what has happened over the years is for government to complement that by supplementing the payments to the IPPs especially. That in itself has affected some of the value chain players. But consistently we've been working around the clock to see how we resolve it by introducing boundary metering and all that to ensure that we have proper energy accounting, to ensure that ECD is able to generate sufficient revenue to pay the bills. It's gone up.
So you're handing over a sound energy sector today?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Without a doubt. But it has problems. I will not stand here and say that the energy sector hasn't got problems. But if you relate that to the kind of problems that we inherited, the Akufo-Addo government has largely resolved most of the problems, yet, yes, some outstanding problems yet to be resolved. And I believe that the NDC has...
He's also been talking about
in keeping the
his...
Imagine a compact weapon that's as bright as a lightsaber. This flashlight is combat ready and you need to see it.
The year of return and the beyond the return are good initiatives. He says came into Ghana. What will you say was a strategy really for your government?
Because I believe that surviving governments, okay, haven't paid too much attention to the tourism subsector. Indeed, tourism has the potential to bring in significant foreign exchange. And that is the vision that His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa saw in the tourism sector. Hence the investment that he made primarily in ensuring that we have significant enough leverage by way of marketing the year of return, which was commemorating 400 years of slave trade, okay, and driving in so much traffic into Ghana, such that today, December in Ghana has become so big that globally Ghana is touted as the best destination for global travelers in December. Okay, a lot of investment has gone in there. His Excellency the President, under his leadership, has developed some tourism infrastructure at the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park, the National Museum. Some funds have been allocated for the restoration of our forts and castles. Slave camps in Salaga, Piko have all been rehabilitated. Asin Manso slave stream, where they used to wash. The slaves used to have their last bath before they were taken through the Cape Coast Castle on their route across Atlantic, has seen significant improvement. And of course, the Year of Return initiative and the Beyond the Return, especially, which is a 10-year program, is significantly driving tourism numbers. And of course, the contribution of tourism to our GDP is also significantly increasing.
Thank you very much.
Legacies that you cannot take away from it.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ejapa Mesa is the Minister for Tourism, a Deputy Minister for Energy. And so we'll be having a conversation both on tourism and, for that matter, the energy sector here. We're still in Parliament. Let's get more reactions.
Professor Tuguba led Constitutional Review Commission published a very fantastic report, all right, a very comprehensive report, and submitted it to the government. The government issued a white paper, okay, under Professor Mills. It was continued by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And I remember distinctly at the Attorney General's Department, we had a committee led by Professor E.V.O. Dankwa for the implementation of the Constitutional Review proposals, okay, in terms of legislative amendments to give effect to, or to enable effect to be given to the constitutional proposal. Guess who were the ones who were stonewalling around 2016 on this project? It was the MPP, all right? Now, I assume the reins of government, they did very little as far as the Constitutional Review is concerned. Then at the last minute, they put together another committee, okay? They stepped away from the Constitutional Review Commission report and then formed their own committee, which submitted a report. I honestly reviewed the report and I wasn't impressed. All right, so I don't think that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be adopting that report for anything. We will continue from where we left, all right, because we think that the Constitutional Review Commission did a fantastic job. The implementation process started and was underway when it was abandoned. And luckily for us, I think Ghanaians understood the concept of reset. And that is why they've given us a two-thirds majority. Some of the constitutional amendments require that, you have two-thirds majority of the members of parliament to be able to effect an amendment. And we have a comfortable two-thirds.
Yes, I'm ready for you. Okay, Prempe, we're going now. So we have been joined by the Honorable Murtala Mohammed, who is whose view we want to sample on today's event. Honorable, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you, perhaps.
Many happy returns, my brother.
Well, wonderful. What I will say, Honorable, is generally what has been your impression with today's delivery of the President?
Well, disappointments, but it was expected. The State of the Nation's address, despite the fact that it's a fulfillment of a constitutional responsibility, the President was expected to tell us everything except lies. He was supposed to tell us nothing but the truth. The State of the Nation's address is to tell the people of this country the true state of Ghana. It doesn't matter how pleasing or displeasing it is to your ears, but tell us the truth. Instead, the President, deviated entirely from the truth and anchored his entire speech on deceit. But it is not surprising. The very first State of the Nation's address, the very first statement the President made to the people of this country, that was his inaugural speech. It was plagiarized. He copied 4 presidents of America. I'm coming. So it is not surprising that he's concluding his address to the people of this country yet on falsehood. In the first place, the President talked about corruption and said that there have been people in his government who have been prosecuted. Who? Tell me one single person under the presidency of President Nana Addo a leading member or a member of his party who has been prosecuted? Not even one.
Honorable.
Tell me one single person. Please, I'm making reference to what the president said.
Yes.
Tell
It's exactly
me one
what I'm
single
going
person
to.
who has been prosecuted. One person in his government. Do you know that when the leadership and the president were walking out, Rebecca Akufo-Addo confronted Honorable Bua? Why did you say that about my husband? If you don't have a thick skin, you don't get yourself engaged in. Rebecca Akufo-Addo confronted Honorable Bua when they were walking out. Why did you say that about my husband? If you can't take it, you don't follow your husband to such gatherings. Well, President Mahama, hold on. President Mahama, in 4 years, was criticized by leadership of the NPP at that time, every single president. So why would she do that?
Honorable, that is the First Lady. What I wanted us to look at generally, or taking it on a whole, the president talked about areas such as infrastructure, the economy turning or rebounding, and also talked about investment in education and reform.
Investors are running away from Ghana to Togo.
Honorable, that is another discussion for a different day. So Honorable, let's keep to what the president has talked about here today. He mentioned reforming and investment in education, especially where some 5 million people have benefited from free SHS. Isn't that?
Are you selecting the things the president said, or you want us to look at the things he said?
Honorable, if you allow me, we'll take them component by component.
Take them all. In the first place, the first president talked about Agenda 111. You and I know that they finished only 3. The president said they finished a lot of Agenda 111. That is not true. The president talked about the monies they borrowed. You and I know that President Mahama borrowed 50 billion. President Mahama, President Mills. And there are monumental projects to show what he borrowed and what he has been able to do with them. Permit me, if I can mention some. The Circle Interchange, the Terminal 3, the Eastern Corridor roads, the Pokwasu Interchange Phase 1, the Circle Interchange, the Ridge Hospital, the Kumasi Airport, Tamale International Airport. There are projects, hospitals in Afari, in Kumasi, almost every region and most districts, there were projects to show what President Mahama used the 50 billion for. This government has borrowed over 700 billion Ghana cedis. What is there to show? Agenda 111. They intended executing 111. They completed only 3. Unemployment, President talked about it. Unemployment, they inherited 8.4. Today is even around 17%. Debt to GDP, it was around 60% today. What is it? Inflation was around 15% today. What is it? On every single score sheet, this government is beyond a failure.
But the president highlighted how our economy has chalked a 7.2 increase over the last quarter.
The purpose of every economic policy, when we're talking about the feat we achieved under President Mahama, he himself told us that they were not interested in that. How does it translate to the ordinary Ghanaian? And I'm saying that the ordinary Ghanaian knows that how much kenke is. A bowl of kenke is around 7 cedis and some places 10 cedis. So it's a monumental failure. What the president was expected to do, I thought he was coming to first and foremost apologize to the people of this country. This president talked about security. When Ayawaso West Wagon, you yourself set up a commission, a committee to investigate. You couldn't even do a commission's work. You couldn't even do that. Techiman South is still fresh in our minds.
But Honorable, these are pockets of incidents that happened in isolation. But the president spoke on the
lives were lost. Lives were lost. Don't tell me there are pockets of incidences. Lives were lost. And what was the crime of the people whose lives were lost? Their crime was simply they went to participate in a constitutional activity. Mind you, the faces behind those lives that were lost are orphans, widows, people whose educations are truncated, whose livelihoods are truncated. So don't tell me they were just pockets.
No, I didn't describe them as just pockets. I said they were pockets of incidents.
The interest of every government is to ensure that everybody in your country or under your leadership is protected and secured. We never witnessed that. So I'm saying that, tell me one single factual statement the president made there. And the president even was telling us that under his watch, corruption has reduced. Which corruption? The Afro Barometer described him as the most corrupt ever in the history of this country. In fact, the Corruption Perception Index, mind you, The highest we ever scored was under President Mahama, 70%. Today, what is it? 43%. And that was the lowest President Mahama scored. So I'm saying that the president was not being truthful to that constitutional provision. He was not being truthful to the people of this country. And he would go home as the most disastrous and shameless president ever.
Wasn't the president also courageous to at least have reiterated or recounted how he's put his presidency on the line to fight Galamsey?
No, but is Galamsey, is it properly fought? It's worse today than it was. Every civil society organization who are doing some work on Galamsey have all come to the conclusion that it's a disaster. Yet the president had the courage to talk about it. He had the courage to talk about Galamsey. He should be the last person who should be talking about Galamsey.
Right. Honorable, finally, before I let you go, it's quite interesting to hear the president also highlight his investment or his administration's investment in the rail sector as well as road transport.
A lot of the projects were started even under the NDC. Tell me what he has been able to achieve. Look, listen, you see, I have simply said, when a student participates in an exam, there are scores, marks you get, they give you A, which is excellent, or A+, pass, and failure. Now, every single score sheet of this president, either in the area of governance, in the area of infrastructure, in the area of job creation, is a failure. It's beyond failure. It's a monumental disaster. And I was shocked he had the courage to even come to look into our miserable faces and once again lie to the people of this country. That is unprecedented and unbecoming of a president, less a decent president.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable Mutala, for expressing these views of yours with us. I have been joined here by my colleague, Maurice Ogbete, who was with me during the President's delivery of the State of the Nation's address. Maurice, I've asked repeatedly, and a number of MPs have interacted with, what their impressions generally has been of the delivery. What has been your impression so far?
I think that it's been balanced in some aspects of the delivery, slightly partisan in some other aspects.
Well, isn't it expected to be partisan? This is the president you're talking about, and he belongs to a party.
Certainly. So, I mean, it's been a balanced statement, even though lays with some bit of politics here and there. I mean, that's accepted. That's a president who is a politician.
What surprised you in this delivery? What surprised you?
I mean, the fact that he says the fight against Galamsey actually affected the parliamentary fortunes of his party in the 2020 elections. I mean, for me, was not supposed to be in there. The ultimate. He should have been telling us what the fight against Galamsey resulted in. He should be telling us that we fought Galamsey, and these are the results.
Before,
is really, for me, a little bit surprising.
Before we went into the chamber to receive the president's delivery, yourself and myself, during our earlier interactions, I mentioned a few areas where I expected the president to recount as part of his legacy and achievements in the last 4 or 8 years, if you like. Now, were you at any point taken aback or by surprise, once again, if I may use the word or repeat the word, that in the area of investment, infrastructure, education, and if you like, economy, I mentioned how the president would want to speak to the free SHS and its impact on families. Did that come to you as a surprise that the president didn't omit that?
I mean, that's not a surprise. That has been the flagship of this particular government. I mean, even in the lead up to the elections, free SHS was at the top burner. So certainly the president will not spare an opportunity to talk about free SHS and how it's benefited some 5.7 million students who he says that but for free SHS couldn't have gone to senior high school. Certainly the president will also talk about infrastructural development. in the lead up to the elections, you saw him commissioning roads, commissioning interchanges, commissioning some Agenda 111 projects. So certainly the president was expected to talk about those. And also on the economy. Even though the Ghanaian economy is gone through some turmoil and some challenges, certainly the president will not spare the opportunity to also talk about the recovery that we've seen in the last 3 quarters of the year. You also certainly talk about the kind of economy that he inherited in 2017 and the kind of growth that we saw in 2017, 2018, 2019, until in 2020 when COVID broke. And you will certainly also talk about some of the digitalization initiatives that has helped in some way improve on the turnaround in terms of doing business. For me, I always say that now I am able to buy electricity without having to go to
that's a good observation. That's a good observation. Morris, we'll have to leave it here and continue when we get back in studio. You've been watching GBC News, and it has come your way from the House of Parliament, where this morning the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, delivered the State of the Nation's address, the very last of his administration. And here in Parliament has been myself, Darrell Alantego, my colleagues Morris Ogbete, Rachel Kwote, and Augustus Akwe. All 4 of us with a very strong camera and sound team brought to you the sonar. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Έχεις επιχείρηση και κάνεις διαφήμιση στο διαδίκτυο? Σήμερα θα μοιραστώ μαζί σου έναν έξυπνο.
Guys, thanks a lot to Maurice, Augustus, Rachel, and then to Darrell. We're back here to also wrap it up here from the studios of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. We've been live on television, that's GBC News and on GTV. We've been live on radio, Unique FM, and across the 16 regions of this country, of various regional FM stations, and on Lom Community Radio, that is in Bunkulugu, that's 94.7. On the internet, it's been gbcghanaonline.com, live on Facebook, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GTV, and other social media platforms on X and, of course, on YouTube, too. We'll pick our final thoughts in wrapping up with our guests here in the studio, and then we'll get ready for our major news bulletin at 2, which is going to have a lot of this presentation by the President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his final State of the Nation address. Look, in wrapping up, moving forward as a country and all that, we're done with this one, and the next stage and the next phases that we're going to go through. Yeah.
Thank you. The Akufo-Addo years is now a matter for history. It's not only history, it's also a matter for students of politics to study and to understand. It's also something that going forward we are going to do as a country, know that this is what we inherited, this is when this is how we go ahead. So the Akufo-Addo years are really important. They are in the history now. And that is one of the good things about democracy. We can be aspirational, we can be hopeful. We are looking to the Mahama years. Mahama point 2, if you can say that. We are looking on 7th of January, we are going to see that. And we are hopeful. It's a very hopeful country. And for me, that is good. It's a very hopeful and aspirational country. People who believe that something good will happen. That something good will happen. When you have that, it's better than to have gloomy, sad country. People are aspirational. Things are not maybe difficult today, but it'll get better. That is the kind of idea upon which the American dream is built. We're going to realize that. So a lot of good things were done. Some completed, some completed. And what we've come to realize, people don't understand is that in this our democratic system, policy continuation is far more than we know. About 80% of almost all government policy are continued by the new government. Some of them get completed by new government. Even when it comes to physical infrastructure, the only time when we don't see that completion is in the health sector, in the road sector, in every sector.
Even the president called on the president-elect to do something about the Agenda 111.
You will realize that. So they are going to do that. Because it becomes politically suicidal for you to go and see an Agenda 111 program going on, that's actually ongoing, and then you take it away. So you will see that. we want to hope and make sure that the good thing, that the new government is coming brings new good thing. And look, every Ghanaian should wish the new government well. Every Ghanaian should hope that the new government, when the new government succeeds, we all succeed. But then the new government also knows that once we turn on the lights, the pressure is going to come. I want to see that today they are trying to what? Manage expectations. We have to manage our expectations to see what is promised and what is actually delivered. For me, this State of Union goes to what? Add to what? Democratic bona fides. This goes to demonstrate that we are not just a shining example of a democracy only in Africa and developing, but that we can begin to compete with the developed countries. And we can compete with any mature democracy because what we have gone through, what we have learned, how we are doing it, demonstrate that we don't need that many years to do this, but that we are perfecting that. I've told you, the idea in this country is to continue to perfect our union. It's continue to make Ghana a better place. And so long as we are committed to this democratic principle, we'll continue to do that. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa has done his part. History will judge him. History will celebrate him. History will criticize him. He's done his part. And that's what every Ghanaian should know. Rules change. You have a role to play for this country. And as much as this country has given to you, you give back. We are expecting and want to see what happens next to a bed. From now, every Ghanaian can be proud that you belong to a country that makes you proud. You belong to a country that is a shining star. You belong to a country that wherever you go in this world, you can beat your chest to say, I'm a Ghanaian. And this is what we've done. So that is what has just been demonstrated.
What would the 8th Parliament be remembered for?
Well, I hope not how it opened. I hope not the blows, not the fighting, the snatching. I hope not. I hope not the infighting. I hope not the near paralysis of the... In fact, you see, it was a paralysis of Parliament itself, not just the work of the executive. I hope it's not remembered for that. But I hope it's remembered for some of the creative things they did. Some of the private member bills, they were really good. And sometimes the opposition members, because of their numbers on the committees, were able to do a lot of good job on the committees that we did. See, we hope it's also remembered for the fact that, and that is what the president said, he and the speaker have also made history. The first speaker to say when the president is not his party, and the first president to say what is this is another learning aspect. We students of politics will learn this, will study this, and will make sure it happen. And we've seen it. So we've moved from, what's the name, courts deciding elections. It may get there eventually, but we've moved to a place where the votes of people count and democracy is where we are building strong.
Okay. Look, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've enjoyed talking to you. Thanks a lot for spending that time with us from morning till now. And thank you, too, for joining us for this coverage. We've been with you. You've also been with us since morning on all our platforms. We're going to start that story for you. This is just the beginning. The story to the final day, which is going to be on the 7th of January, where we'll go for the inauguration. So we're going to be with you on Monday. We'll even be with you on Sunday, too. We'll be with you on Monday. Monday will be with you throughout the entire day. And then on Tuesday, going to be the 7th. We're also going to be with you. And we'll wrap everything up when everything is said and done with the inauguration. My name is George Sapo. On behalf of the entire production team, have a